So listen, finally setting up this match with the Butcher. These guys have a history. WCW audience not necessarily familiar with the depth of the relationship between these two behind the scenes. And the company did very little to stress the importance and significance of their relationship. Plus, so much of it was seen in WWF. These are the same two men, Arn, who headlined SummerSlam, taking on the Macho King and Zeus. So
he was rotten. Zeus.
Yeah, he couldn't work at all either. The Observer published the following. The show was the first real test of the Hogan era minus Ric Flair. While losing Flair hurt the quality of the show, that was a given going in. We already knew that. The real question was, the answer was going to be answered by the ratings. The Clash drew a 3.6 rating and 5.4 share for 2.2 million homes. Last year's Clash drew 3.3 rating for Flair versus Vader, which, throwing the Hogan factor out of the equation, was a stronger main event. Nevertheless, the rating was not the bomb that many predicted, with Flair out of the picture temporarily and Hogan in a six-man tag against the dreaded Three Faces of Fear, a match which included Kevin and Dave Sullivan in the headline spot, which could have only dragged the appeal down. Again, Dave Meltzer's comments, not mine. The show drew 4,000 fans live, 3,200 paid, $38,000 gate, and they had to move the crowd entirely to one side of the building and only shot that side of the building to make it look good for TV. So no matter how much we want to shit on this Clash of the Champions, no matter what we think, once again, Clash draws a rating with over 2 million viewers while delivering less than I would say is really good professional wrestling, Arn. And I got to ask, what did you see in the coming year? At this point, as I'm reading some of this stuff and going through some of the action that was happening, are you thinking that WCW pretty much relied too heavily on Hulk Hogan just to sell the product and get people to watch the show, and then, you know, some of the silliness of the booking was going on here?
Well, the reality is Clash of Champions was free TV. Wasn't a pay-per-view. It's a big difference in asking somebody to pay $34.99 or whatever it was.
Absolutely.
And watching a show that's prime time and free. That's the difference. But when you're on top and you get that number, you get the credit for it.
Yeah.
So that's how Hogan sold his drawing power.
Right.
Was, hey, check the numbers, brother.
Still doing a little bit better than we did last year with Flair and Vader. So there you go.
There was nobody in a position to say, hey, it was a free show. Yes, everybody was home. Everybody watched it because it was prime time. It's not like a pay-per-view on Sunday where you're asking somebody to pay $35 for it.
We have Adam Krasnoff with a question before we conclude our coverage. She said, during this time, there wasn't a pay-per-view every month. So it was typical to have a Clash of the Champions between the gaps. Did wrestling on a Clash of the Champions feel just as special, Arn, as wrestling on a pay-per-view? Why or why not?
Every bit. Because you had a lot of eyes.
Yeah.
And if you were a pro, you knew a lot of eyes are going to see this. I got a chance. I'm going to, not in a time crunch. I'm going to have enough time. Let's go tear it down.